Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the Cégep student orientation session for science students here at McGill University. As I said in part 1, my name is Nicole Allard. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Student Advising. What I want to talk to you about in this installment are our science program options for Bachelor of Science students. So, as you know, you've all been admitted to one of 4 what we call admission groups. And those 4 groups are Physical, Earth, Math, and Computational Sciences, which we call PEMC, Biological, Biomedical, and Life Sciences, or BBL, the Biophysical Computational Sciences group, which is where the 2 first groups kind of intersect, called B.Sc, and finally Neuroscience, which is its own independent group. Within each of these groups, other than Neuroscience, there's actually a collection of potential programs. So departments, let's say. So if you're in physical, the PEMC group, within that is a choice of programs you can major in. And basically, you've been admitted to all of them. So for example, within PEMC, you've got physics, chemistry, geography, atmospheric science, and you can choose to major in any of those within your group. And that's just a pull-down menu on our Minerva registration system. You can switch at will. The same for biological biomedical sciences, there's a group of majors, and the same for BPC. Neuroscience, well, it just exists on its own. But what if you happen to want to change, what if you change your mind? You want to switch majors to something in a different group. So what if you were accepted to PEMC and you're majoring in geography? But after a year, you realize, nah, maybe you'd rather major in psychology. And psychology happens to fall under the BBL group. You won't be able to just switch majors. You're going to have to apply for permission to switch into a different group. That's called an intra-faculty transfer. You can only apply to transfer once a year, and the deadline to apply is June 1st. No, it might be May 1st. Yeah, the deadline to apply is May 1st. Whether or not you get into the other group will depend mostly on your GPA and also on whatever courses you chose along the way. We have a dedicated advisor for transfers like this. Her name is Mary Gauthier. And if you decide you want to do this, you'll probably want to talk to her and also look up intra-faculty transfers on our website to see what you have to do and how it works. But anything within your group, you could just switch without applying for permission. Okay. So I want to talk a bit about what we call degree structures, which is really how your degree is built. So when you get admitted from Cégep, you've got 90 credits left to do. We say that our degree is 120 credits, but you all come in with what we call advanced standing credits. That means you've been granted 30 credits of advanced standing. So you come in with 30 credits. So you've got 90 left to complete, okay? Those 90 credits are split up between sort of the main focus of your studies, which we generally refer to as your major, but it could be a liberal or an honors, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but we'll just call it a major. So there's your major, and then there will still be room for other things. So for example, a major is about 60 credits, so 60 out of 90. That leaves you with 30 more to do. So what are you going to do with those 30 credits? Well, you could do a minor. Minors are generally optional, and that could take up anywhere from 18 to 24 credits. And then you're still going to have space. So what do you do with the rest of it? Those are what you fill with what's called electives. Those are optional courses that you take based on your personal interests until you hit your 90 credits that you need for your degree. Now remember, I'm talking 90 because you need 90 at McGill plus the 30 that you've already been given because you completed a Cégep Tech. And that adds up to 120. I know that sounds a little complicated at first, but trust me, you get used to it. And really, your advisors are there to help you decipher it if need be. Now, when I talk about a major, as I said, that's one way of doing the degree. But there's really 3 levels of specialization you can have within your Bachelor of Science degree, going from the broadest, so the least specialized in one thing that allows you to do more courses in a variety of things would be called the liberal structure. And then the most specialized on the other side of the spectrum is called honors, where you specialize mostly on one topic. and you don't have as much room left over for electives or a minor or anything like that. So you're really focused on one thing. So for example, our liberal programs are about 45 credits. On average, you're looking at 3 credits per 1 semester course. So 45 credits, you're saying, you know, that's about half of your courses would be in one thing. I don't know, let's say physics. That leaves you with 45 other credits to do other stuff. The major is maybe, on average, around about 60 credits, say in physics, and that leaves you with 30 credits to do other stuff. And then finally, the honors would be the most specialized, leaving you with fewer credits to do other things. That's really what it's all about. I'm going to get into details about what each one of those means in a minute. One other thing you need to know is we kind of have 2 passing grades at McGill. If you're using a course for your major, so if you chose to major in biology, you're going to have to do a course called Bio 200. You need to get a minimum grade of C in that Bio 200 course in order to count it towards your major and to move on to the next level up. However, if you're taking a course as an elective, so you're a bio major, but you're taking Latin just as a pure elective, just because it interests you, you can get a grade of D in that course and count it towards your degree. So you get the credits with a D. So what happens if you get a D in a course that you're taking for your major? Well, if it's a required course, you're going to have to repeat it because there isn't, you've got to get a grade of C or better. Alternatively, if it's a course that's counting towards your major in biology, but you have sort of some choices. So you could take this, or this bio, one of 3 bios to fulfill that requirement. Then you can just count the course that you got a D in and say, I'm going to count that as an elective and just take a different bio course to replace it. So there's different things you can do. Now, ideally, you're never going to get a D in your major courses and you won't have to deal with it. But if you do, you can always talk to an advisor to get more details about what you should be doing or how to manage it, okay? What I want to do next is talk more about what this liberal major honors thing means and how they differ. Okay, so we're going to start with the less specialized, which is what we call our liberal program. That's for a student with broad interests. You don't want to focus too much on one thing. You want to learn a lot about different things. See, when you think about it, you've only got a finite number of credits, right? You can only take so many courses. So if you want to learn about more stuff, then you can't go as in-depth into one thing. So that's your trade-off. So the liberal allows you to learn more about a variety of things, but you get less depth, okay? Basically, it's 45 credits. Sometimes it can go up to 50 in one core science component, whatever that is. Let's say 50 credits in physics again. But you're going to have to combine that with another program because this is more about multidisciplinary interests, okay? This is for the student who wants to learn about different things. So you could combine that liberal component, that core science component in physics, with a minor, and it could be a minor in arts, a minor in science, education, management, all kinds of things. Those are going to be about 18 to 24 credits. You could combine it with a major concentration in arts if you want more in the arts mix. And that's 36 credits. So it's not quite as big as your core science component, but almost. You could also combine it with a second core science component. So physics and, I don't know, chemistry. But if you do that, you're not going to have room for any electives, usually. You might have room for 1 or 2 if there's similarity in the programs, but mostly that's all you'll be doing. So it depends on your interest, how you mix and match, but you do have to mix and match at least 2 things in this liberal because it's really intended for students with multidisciplinary interests. It does give you some depth in one area, 45 credits to 50. It focuses on one thing, but it's probably not enough to continue on and get a master's or a PhD in physics. So if that's what you know you want to do, you probably don't want to do the liberal. However, the broad sort of mixing and matching is great for what we call professional schools. So things like dentistry, law, medicine, physical therapy, occupational therapy, that kind of thing, management, if you want to get an MBA. They like the multidisciplinarity. So that's great. or you want to hit the job market and you want to show that you can do a variety of things. It can work well for that. It's just not the best choice if you think you might want to go and get a master's or a PhD in one field. Okay? But it's great if you want to mix two things. I've had students who would do physics, say, as a core science component, and then a major concentration in English because they wanted to be a science writer, something like that. So it sort of depends what you want to do. Okay? The major program, it provides more depth, so there's more focus on one thing, but it's still flexible. There's still room for electives, maybe a minor. It's kind of the in-between. And it ranges from 54 to 72 credits, depending on the department. We have single disciplines, biology, chemistry, atmospheric science, whatever. We also have joint majors, physiology and physics, math, computer science, or what we call interdisciplinary majors, like major in environment, which is pulling from a lot of different things, or major in neuroscience, pulling from a lot of different departments, but focusing on one theme, be it environment or neuroscience, something like that. There's usually enough space within your 90 credits to throw in a minor if you wanted to, but you don't have to. If you're going to do a major, you could just do a major and a bunch of electives if that's what you would prefer to do. There's no real benefit to a minor. It's simply a reflection of your interest. So if you really did have a secondary interest, knock yourself out, do a minor. But if you don't, if you've got broad interest, you want to try a lot of different things, it's equally acceptable to do a variety of elective courses. Either one works. If you choose your courses correctly, in most disciplines, you would still be eligible to go on for a master's degree in your field. But you definitely need to work with an advisor to make sure that you're doing that you're taking the right courses to go on to that sort of thing, okay? It's easy to switch between the B.Sc, liberal, and major, and honors. So if you're not sure, talk to an advisor, but know that it's a pull-down menu. You're not locked in wherever you go, okay? Finally, we have something called an honors degree. That's our most specialized. It focuses the vast majority of your credits in one discipline, let's say chemistry. So you're going to have 60 to 81, depending on the department, of your credits are going to be in one discipline. Because it's so focused, you usually don't have room to do a minor. You have room for a few electives, but you generally don't have enough space left over for a minor. Again, it depends, but on average, you don't. These programs were designed to be the best preparation for going into a master's or a PhD in your field. So if you want to go get a master's or a PhD in chemistry, you know that you're best off aiming for an honors degree. Because aside from being more specialized, it will also involve a research project at the end, an independent research project, and also some specialized honors courses, both of which are designed to prepare you for the world of graduate school, for what it's like to be a master's or a PhD student. And there's usually a GPA requirement to get into an honors degree. It's usually a minimum of a 3.0 or a B average. Sometimes it's higher, okay? So again, this is what you do if you know that you want to go on to graduate studies. Now, it's also a great background for things that are not a master's or a PhD. I mean, if you know you want to go on, again, to medical school or law school or something professional, but you really love one topic and you want to focus on it, by all means, feel free to do an honors. It's not going to look bad. It's just it's just not necessary, but if it's what you prefer, go for it. That sort of experience that you get in an honors program is great, no matter where you're going. Equally, if you want to hit the job market. It's never a bad thing. It's just not always a necessary thing. It's necessary almost if you want to go on to master's or PhD. Okay? I realize I'm being vague because nothing's as cut and dry as we might want it to be, but your advisors can help you to decide what you need to do. Normally, for most honors programs, you only choose them in U2 after you do 1 year as a major. So for all of the BBL disciplines, you only declare honors after you do 1 year in a major. Okay, so it's the first year is a major, your last 2 years are honors, and you get an honors degree. The only exception to that are computer science, math, and physics, where you can go right into the honors degree as of your first year. There are ways to get in your second year as well, but most students start it in their first year. Okay? Again, I want to remind you all that our website has a lot of this information on it. It has links to departmental advisors you can talk to for more information, and also a link to our Welcome to the Faculty of Science handbook, which includes all the information you might need. So I want to thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in part 3, which is going to be coming up soon. Thank you. Bye.